What's going on, guys? What's going on, girls? Sal here, back again, going to break down this Week 14 NFL Showdown slate on Thursday night on Draftkings. It's going to be the Titans and the Jaguars, so, I mean, not a lot to love in this one. Titans having a better year than expected. Jaguars not having the year that they expected, especially coming off an AFC Championship bid, close to the Super Bowl last year against the Patriots in that game. But yeah, so we don't got much to love, but if you do want to play DFS, these Showdown slates are a ton of fun. This could be, there's some plays on this slate for sure, and this could be one of those interesting slates where like there's 100 points scored and somebody takes home the whole 200K to themselves. A couple things that I'll point out right now. I want to appreciate all you guys for liking, commenting on the contest. If you haven't seen the contest on the first look lineup that I posted 2 days ago, apologize for this coming out Wednesday. It's finals week here, so I have an exam Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I have an exam in like 2 hours, so I just couldn't get around to this video yesterday. Gonna get it out there now for you guys as soon as possible. But if you haven't seen the first look lineup from Monday, go back, check that out. You can comment on that video. You can comment on this video. Who's the running back you think will have the most points on Sunday's main slate? So not Sunday Night Football, not Thursday night, not Monday night. All the games Sunday's main slate. Who's the running back who will have the most DK points? You'll get entered into a $20 PayPal or DK ticket raffle. I'm going to see if I can get the DK ticket to work. If not, $20 PayPal, Venmo, whatever you have, means of getting you money transferred to you if the DK ticket doesn't work. That's an entry to a Millie Maker. That's an entry to really whatever you want to use it for. So that's just that contest that we're running right now. I'm also going to put in the description below, I'm going to be starting a GoFundMe for this channel, basically. And I just want to leave it at this channel. I don't want to really reach out too much and stress people. It's just if you feel the need to, no need to. But the GoFundMe is just going to be, I want to start streaming on Twitch and also on YouTube. I don't have the equipment to stream. That equipment's expensive, and as a college kid, I've been saving up for it, but it's going to be nowhere near in time. It's not something that I can really ask my parents for like a Christmas gift or anything, especially at this age. Can't be putting a burden on them. Streaming laptops go for like $2,000. It's a hell of an expensive thing. I'm going to put that in the link below. It's just a GoFundMe. It'll help this channel out. I'll be able to get content out quicker. It takes me about 4 or 5 hours to upload a video from this Mac. It's about 6 years old and doesn't have a lot of good doesn't have a good RAM drive, anything like that, processor. And also I'll be able to stream basically Sundays before the game, give you guys more content really anytime. So it'd be a lot more convenient. I want to get that done as soon as possible. So I'll leave a GoFundMe for help. But yeah, let's get into this slate, guys. So just looking at this slate right now, there's a couple things, I mean, that stand out. Obviously, Fournette's the most expensive. By far, he's the most expensive. And, I mean, he's back from his one-game suspension, and he's the guy that when the Jaguars are playing, they're going to turn around and hand the ball to Leonard Fournette 20-plus times because they picked him on a top 5 overall pick because that's how they're built. They have Cody Kessler in there now, so he'll be an interesting play. I mean, it's a slate. You know the slate is weird when you see right here, Cody Kessler is the 3rd most expensive guy. Like, you know the slate is weird. And yes, I know he's a starting QB. He's going to have one of the most opportunities in this game. I mean, he's going to touch the ball the most or second most, depending on Mariota, from a QB perspective. And I don't think he's terrible due to, like, rushing upside that he definitely does have. Can eliminate his turnovers that way. He's going to be low owned, I'd imagine, on this type of slate due to his price. If I had to guess, I mean, everybody's going to be owned, but maybe sub 50% owned as a quarterback. That'd be kind of rare. But due to his price, mainly, and because he doesn't really produce, right? Like, yeah, he came in relief in this game, played a whole game, a weird Indianapolis game. Didn't do too much there, and that's because they rely heavily on Leonard Fournette, the other guys behind him. I mean, when Leonard Fournette's in, he's a guaranteed 20 touches, can see upside of 30 touches, and he does get work in the passing game, as you see here. Has a little bit of a passing game floor with a couple of targets a game, a couple of receptions a game since he's been back. And he gets all the work right here. He's going to get every single carry inside the 10-yard line, inside the 5-yard line. If they're inside the 5-yard line, you can pretty much bet on him getting at least 2 carries, probably 3 to 4 carries if it's a 4th down situation. So Fournette's a smart guy. Fournette's going to be the guy that on this slate is going to be plus 80% owned, I would imagine, like we've seen in the past with Zeke, Saquon Barkley, quarterbacks, all those types of things. So yes, if you're entering multiple lineups, fade Leonard Fournette for the reason that if you fade him, there's a chance that you're like 10% of the people that don't have him in a lineup. And if he gets injured, which we know that he has problems with injuries, or say he just doesn't perform, they sell out to stop him because they're like, Cody Kessler's not going to beat us, which is a possible game script from a good Titans defense. You have a lot of upside, and I kind of do like the Leonard Fournette fade if you're playing like 10 lineups. Fade him in 3, fade him in 4, outweigh the field because 70 to 80 to 85+% of the people are going to play Leonard Fournette. And I really just think that's how it's going to be. I don't think this 4th defensive rank is going to really scare anybody off. I think Leonard Fournette obviously has a great situation right here. He's going to get 20+ touches, probably 25+ touches, all the goal line work, a couple of receptions. So it makes him a great candidate, especially in cash on this showdown slate. But in tournaments, I'm fading him in probably 30 to 40% of my lineups. just because you outweigh the field massively in that respect. Mariota, we've seen what Mariota's been doing. His hand now starting to feel a little bit better, and he's been playing a lot better, right? This game is an outlier because he kind of left that game. So, I mean, games that he's started and completed since his hand's been basically healthy, you can say 4 for 4. I don't know if he was totally healthy in this Dallas game. I think that he probably was by that time in Week 9. 4 out of 4 games, he's had over 20 points, right? Like, he's a guy that you have to have in your lineup, so I think this is a guy that you probably don't fade just because he can get it done on the ground. Jacksonville's been pretty susceptible in the air this year. Yes, this says that they're ranked 10th, but that's considering that they were the #1 overall defense last year. So definitely pretty susceptible in the air. I think that he's a guy that you want in all your lineups. Again, opportunity in these contests always fade, guys, but I like Mariota a lot. So let's start somewhere with having Mariota. And I'll build a lineup with Fournette and without Fournette, see what it looks like. Corey Davis, he's going to probably go up against Jalen Ramsey. They try and move him around a little bit, but for the most part, you'll probably see maybe shadow treatment from Jalen Ramsey. Corey Davis, again, he's all the way up there in Whopper. He's all the way up there in targets, air yards per route run, Whopper. All these things, he's up there in the entire league. He leads his team in that. But we really haven't seen too much out of Corey Davis, right? Like, he's had 3 good games, but when he has a good game, he explodes. He goes for 100 yards and a touchdown. We saw in limited touches what he did in this game. I mean, he had the long touchdown in that one. Same exact thing with Houston, or the longer touchdown in that one. So he's a guy who's going to be hit or miss. He seems to show out on these main game slates or these island games where it's just a night game and he can kind of have all the lights on him. Don't like his matchup at all. Jalen Ramsey is definitely being down this year based on being like the #1 overall cornerback last year. He ranks in like the 30s, I think, maybe high 20s now. I haven't checked since the past 2 weeks, but he was in the 40s like 3 weeks ago. Ooh, about to sneeze there. But Corey Davis, I mean, you got to get a pass catcher with Mariota. You would imagine that's the best stacks usually. Let's see what else we could do here. Dion Lewis, I feel like this is a game where it's going to be pretty close. I mean, based on spread indicating that. In Tennessee, though, you would imagine that Dion Lewis is going to still get some work out there. His work has come down a little bit as they've given Derrick Henry a little bit more of the work, which hasn't been the case in weeks prior in that Jets game. And I mean, a big part of that is it was a game where they didn't really need that game script. They really didn't have him in there that much. I think this week is going to be a week where you kind of have to get the right, or the slate, you kind of have to get the right Jacksonville receiver. We have a ton of them, right? D.D. Westbrook's the most expensive guy. He had 5 targets with Kessler in there, 1 catch. And you have to say to yourself, Fournette's going to get 25 touches. Kessler might only throw the ball 20 times. That's pretty good if he's throwing 5 to 1 guy, right? Fournette probably see 1 or 2 targets. It's tough to fade Fournette the more I think about it, only in some lineups, obviously not completely or majority, because a guy like Kessler isn't going to light it up, especially against a good defense like the Titans. And if he does like have a good game, it's probably going to be because of his legs. Like what? Maybe he'll get 50 rushing yards. Maybe he'll find his way in the end zone. I just don't see guys like D.D. Westbrook. I don't see guys like Moncrief. I don't see these guys really doing much of anything. It's crazy how low Keelan Cole has become this entire year. Beginning of the year, I liked him a lot. He had a couple of good games. He had a lot of great games last year. Now he just kind of get phased out. I don't know what's going on with him. $2,000. He's a good option if he's going to get you like 2 to 3 targets and maybe find the end zone, but not somebody that I really want to play. Value, I mean, it's all injuries down here, right? Nothing. I mean, we continue to see the tight end for, So we continue to see Anthony Firkser, whatever his name is, have a couple of decent games. Now he's priced up to $4K. Like, he was priced really low, around the $200 mark a couple weeks back. I played him, just missed out on winning it all or splitting it all because whatever game that was, I had like Hopkins not in, or I had him in captain, whatever it was, I forget. Or I didn't have Deshaun Watson in captain, but I had the exact same lineup. This guy was in there in that week. He had 4 catches for 52 yards against Houston. Got in the end zone last week. Still seeing some, I mean, low targets, but they use their tight ends out there, right? He seems to be the guy that's kind of taken over. Yes, Jonnu Smith is also out there. We saw him break off a long one. Still seeing low target share, honestly. Like, he got that 50-plus yard touchdown, 61-yard touchdown. But other than that, like if he gets tackled quick, it's one of these types of games down here where we see 2 catches for 11 yards, 1 catch for 12. He's at 5K. I think he's a little bit priced up, but on this slate it makes sense since there's not a lot of playmakers. Tyrod Taylor came back last game. Had a good game. I didn't know he did this. I did not know Tyrod Taylor went for 100 yards against the Jets. Obviously more than half of that coming on 55 yards. So that's interesting, definitely. He's definitely going to be a guy who can take a screen to the house. He's definitely going to be a guy who can burn you deep. But they really haven't utilized him that much this entire year. But I do know that Tywan Sharp, right? Sharp is now on IR, as you can see down here, or is he questionable? Did he not go on IR? I thought I saw an update that said he went on IR. Listed as, all right, so he's listed as questionable. Sharp began the week listed as limited participant. So we can monitor Sharp at 4,600. If he's out, I think Taylor becomes a sneaky play because Jalen Ramsey is probably going to be on Corey Davis. I think that's a pretty good play, actually. Let's see here. So if we want to go without Leonard Fournette in a lineup, then that probably means one of two things. It means you want to go Cody Kessler in their passing game, playing from behind, having to pass a little bit more, not positive Fournette game script, even though he could probably stay in there a decent amount in those situations as well. But you can either go that way, or you can go total Jags fade, maybe play like the Jags D, a kicker, and say this is just going to be a barn burner, Tennessee at home, short week. Basically, a lot of teams throughout the NFL Thursday night history have performed pretty poorly on the road on Thursday night games. Jacksonville having a down year, nothing to play for. Maybe they're just like, why do we got to go to Tennessee? They don't show up. So let's do basically like a whole fade of the of Jacksonville, and let's say we put Mariota in captain in that situation, just because he's going to have the most opportunities. We don't know what the backfield looks like in this type of game. Based on what we saw last time, it's going to be harder to say. I will still go with Dion Lewis, although if they are kind of blowing the doors off, Derrick Henry isn't a terrible option. So I got 10 carries. He's going to somewhere be around 8 to 12 carries a game. Dion Lewis will probably be right around there as well, but he'll have passing down work. So let's see what we can get out of here. Dion Lewis performed pretty poorly the past couple of weeks, so maybe they're going to get Henry a little more utilization in that lineup. I mean, if we're going to go this way, you kind of have to go Corey Davis, although it's ugly, right? You kind of have to go Corey Davis. I don't mind feigning Jonnu Smith. A lot of casual players still aren't going to know who the heck Anthony Firkser is, especially at his price. I'm fine putting him in there based on his recent production. Yes, you don't want to fall into recency bias, but for $4,000, a guy who's getting kind of the same production as Jonnu Smith for $1,000 left in the same offense. If you own him and he does well, it's going to be at the detriment to Smith. James O'Shaughnessy, we've seen him have a couple of decent weeks, catching a couple balls each week. 2,400 is not a terrible option if he falls in the end zone. We didn't really see an uptick, though. 2 targets is what he's usually is probably lower. He's probably around the 3 to 4 target range most weeks. Didn't see an uptake with the backup in. Just not a lot of throws at all, really, for Cody Kessler. You can go with the option of starting Cody Kessler as the guy that you run it back with in this type of situation. If you want to go full-on Titans onslaught, then you go with Tyrod Taylor, especially if John Sharp is out, whatever his name is. I think that's an even better play. And then you run it back with Cody Kessler, saying, okay, Cody Kessler, probably run the ball 5 times, maybe around there. Probably throw the ball 20 to 25 times. If we want to fade Leonard Fournette, we'll probably take the other guy who's going to touch the ball the most, right? Because if you're fading Fournette, who else in that offense? I mean, it's playing musical chairs with the wide receivers. If you want to be a little bit more secure, since you're already playing a contrarian lineup, you don't have to go contrarian everywhere, then your lineup's going to score 20 points. I think Mariota's pretty solid in the captain spot, but we've seen Corey Davis have success against #1 cornerbacks, Stephon Gilmore. That Patriots week, he had his best game of the year, or his second best game of the year, one of his best games of the year. Tons of targets. They targeted him. They can move him around. We don't know for sure if Jalen Ramsey will shadow him. It makes sense that he does, but we don't know for sure, especially with Jalen Ramsey now. There's rumors of being traded. Where's his head at? Not sure. $400 left over. I think that's pretty good if you don't want to go Taylor here. Yeah, you can go up to Moncrief. 3 catches, 40 yards. Moncrief, sometimes they feature Moncrief in these types of games. Moncrief should be having a decent matchup. Whoever goes up against Malcolm Butler on the outside, I like a lot more. D.D. Westbrook should be in the slot. Moncrief would be that guy against Malcolm Butler, so if Kessler was to throw a touchdown, it's a possibility it's going to be to Moncrief. I like this type of lineup. I mean, you use all your salary, so probably somebody else is going to have it just based on that. But fading Fournette means that you're going to be in the. If somebody has this and it's doing well, you'll probably be placing in the money or a shot at one of those top places, right? So this is a type of lineup that I'm not against. I think there'll be lower ownership on Kessler because of that Fournette high ownership at Mariota. So this is a way to differentiate yourself a ton. Yes, you don't leave any money on the table, but just leaving Fournette on the table is enough to do that. Let's build a lineup where we're just going to say what should happen will happen. Fournette will touch the ball 25 times. He might get 1 to 2 touchdowns, might get 2 receptions, be around 100 yards. He's a very inefficient back, right? Like, Leonard Fournette is a good back for that system, I guess, but he's not a good back for the NFL. And I know a lot of people might not agree with that, but what I mean by that is he gets the ball 25 to 30 times a game, and he's barely touching 100-yard games. Like, I mean, just look at this. 24 touches for 53 yards. That's absolutely terrible. 28 touches for 95 yards. That's still terrible. 11 touches, 30 yards. That's bad. 9 touches for 41. That's not awful. But he's just very inefficient throughout his entire year. The good thing about him, though, is he knows how to punch it in the end zone. He can get the short yards, keep the drive going. And he's evolved in the passing game over his past, since he started, especially coming out of college. So, I mean, I'm going to put Leonard Fournette in to build this type of lineup right here. If we put him in the captain spot, that's going to be really expensive, but I think it'll be a popular play. Captain spot, you want 2 touchdown upside, right? Leonard Fournette definitely has that. Mariota definitely has that. If you're a quarterback, you basically have 2 touchdown upside. You might not get there, like Kessler probably won't, but you have that upside. Other than that, I mean, Derrick Henry has a 2 touchdown upside. He's a guy that you can put in there. He's scored 2 touchdowns in a game this season, and he did that on a main game slate. But again, he's probably going to have you like 40 yards on the ground, maybe not even catch a ball, probably won't catch a ball. So if you're going to go Fournette, you're going to have to find some cheap value. We'll probably have to end up playing a kicker, but we could see about that. We'll put Firkser, I think that's how you say his name, back in there again. We're going to assume that Sharp's out. I think that Moncrief is a safe play, but how much of this Jacksonville offense do we want to have, right? If you're going to play the running game, do you just fade the passing game? You kind of have to think game script here. If Fournette's in, you're going to think, I mean, either way, he's going to get a lot of carries probably. But if he gets more carries and he does really well, scores touchdowns, then it's going to be a game where Mariota's going to have to throw the ball. How about Mariota? We already have a couple of his receiving weapons. I'm fine taking all of Mariota's receiving weapons if this is the route that we're going to go, saying that Fournette goes for 100 yards and a touchdown or 2. And then you have 4,000 left to play. You can get a kicker in there. I mean, James O'Shaughnessy's not a terrible option. I don't want to touch Carlos Hyde. I thought he was a terrible play last week. He ended up being a terrible play. Yes, he got you his 10 to 15, whatever people are saying. He's going to get 15 touches against Indianapolis. He got you 3.7 points if you played him. Not a lot of people did because Spencer Ware. I wish that Spencer Ware never became a thing because, one, he didn't do as great as a lot of people thought. He did get 12 points, 3xing value, but that's not going to do it in tournaments. Might not even do it in cash. But due to his high ownership, it helps. But Carlos Hyde would have just thrown up a duck for you. James O'Shaughnessy's not a terrible option because he does get some targets. Not a lot down here. I mean, honestly, not a lot. I mean, Stocker, we didn't really talk about. He gets some targets each game. Cheap, though. Or he is cheap, so if you do want to take the risk. Another thing to watch, if Tyjon Sharp's out, who's the wide receiver 3 for Tennessee? I really don't know who it is. Is it Batson? I don't know, but it could be some value for $1,000 or less, even if it is somebody like Green Sr. I think it's Rashad. I'm not really sure. But just keep an eye on that. Again, you throw a kicker in here to finish up this lineup, whoever you might want to go with. Other things that you could do, you can get away from Taiwan if you don't want to go that route. And you can go up to Moncrief, say that somebody's going to have a good game. It would probably be Moncrief, and you can go here. If you want to leave money on the table and differentiate yourself with a Fournette lineup as captain, there's always the option to come down to somebody like Keelan Cole, who should see maybe 2-3 targets a game, catch a ball or 2. Does he get in the end zone? If he gets in the end zone at 2K, he's already smashing value for you, right? He's going to catch a ball, so if he gets in the end zone from the 1-yard line, that's 7.1 points. That's already smashing value. He's almost 4xing if he does nothing else. That's just a way to separate yourself with a Fournette lineup, because I think a lot of people are going to go Fournette captain spot. It is very expensive, though, so maybe some people come off that. I think Fournette and Mariota will be the 2 most popular captains. And then when you get back down into it, obviously somebody like Corey Davis, Deion Lewis. I think Cody Kessler's an interesting captain guy because I don't think anybody's going to play him in captain. Another guy I do like in captain, though, Moncrief. He has a great matchup on the outside, like we already mentioned. Malcolm Butler's having a terrible year. If you want to put Moncrief on the outside, you could build a lineup like this and still have a good amount of money left over. Wow, this is probably a viable lineup right here at 6,200. You can go up, you can get, we already have Moncrief in there. You can kind of take your pick at this point, like whoever you want. I don't know if Chark's going to play. Chark has been getting some volume. He had some targets in that last game that he did actually suit up for, but he's been out for a little while. Don't want to go double tight end with Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith is probably running more routes. I haven't checked the route trees on their tight ends in the past couple weeks since Firkser's gone off. But if you just go Taylor, whoever you really want, I think this is another option. Leaves $1,000 on the table to differentiate yourself. I think Moncrief, aside from Fournette, is the guy who would have the biggest game for the Jaguars, or who could be the most viable captain due to his matchup on the outside, due to his big play potential, and they do scheme around him often. But yeah, I think this is the way that I'm looking for this. Another thing that I will mention is draft dashboard. I've said it multiple times.
You get 30 days for $1. It's just a good way to do your research or reduce your research costs, get everything on one platform for $1 for 30 days. You can test it out and then do what you want to do after that. But this is the one game slate. You can see that they are liking the defense in this. And we didn't touch on that, and that's actually really smart. I didn't even touch on that. Jags D, or actually Titans D, we'll go with, is $6,000, and they're priced appropriately based on Cody Kessler playing, right? So you could go Jags D lineup. I kind of forgot touching on that. Jags D I do like, and or Titans D I do like, and I probably take them in this situation. Pairing them with one of the running backs like Deion Lewis in one of our other lineups, that could be definitely a potential edge for you. If you do think it's going to be Titans onslaught, you can go Titans defense and then go with the Mariota type lineup. And if it's going to be a Titans onslaught and the defense does well, Fournette's probably not going to do well. If they're down pretty big, that's when you can do one of these lineups like we showed already. Bring it back with our guy Moncrief, and then you got 5,400. Take your pick at that point. Do you want the tight end? You can differentiate yourself any way you please. Have some money left over if you want. But yeah, so they like the defenses a lot. You can see this is their projections or their ranks. Defensive projections don't usually come out. That's just the way that this tool works until later on. But here you go. You can see your projections. They like them a lot. They're ranked 100. That means a lot. We saw last week they liked a couple of people at the 100 point. You can see just the offensive rank or the team that they're playing's rank, how they rank overall, their matchup rank. You can see things for like running back. So if you wanted to see what's happening with Derrick Henry, things like that, and Deion Lewis, you could see the touch projections or the touch percentages. You can see their projections overall. It's a pretty good tool, and the best part about it is you can watch list players like I'm doing right here. You watch list them. They'll go into this watch list player pool right here, and then you could basically customize or get lineups generated for you if you want to enter multiple. So say you have like 10 players you really like on this slate. You put them all in there. It'll generate you like 10 lineups if that's what you want to put in, and then you can throw them right in. So you can make sure you get all those 10 players that you're liking in some variety. So the link for this is going to be in the description below. You can see it right away if you just scroll down a little bit. $1 for 30 days. I'd urge you to sign up if it's something that you want to do. It's one of like the 4 tools that I use each week. The other thing that'll be in the description below is the GoFundMe for a new streaming setup, basically just a laptop. Those things go for like $2K plus. I've been saving up a little bit, but it's tough, like I said, while I'm in college. In grad school, I mean, it's just tough to kind of find the time to make money or find money. So I appreciate it, guys. This was a Thursday night look. Not a great game, but I think there are some plays in here, ways to be contrarian to set you apart if somebody like Fournette doesn't go off. If you want to take risks on Cody Kessler, it's risky, but we've seen that with Nick Mullins happen before. I thought he was in a better situation, but again, anything can happen in the NFL. I appreciate it, guys. My name's Sal. I'll be back tomorrow, Thursday, with a breakdown video. Have fun playing this game. Peace.